Okay, AP World History students, so today I want to talk to you a little bit about how to do a DBQ styled paragraph, which can be complicated because there are a lot of elements that go involved to this. So the one we're working on right now is Islamic and Christian attitudes or teachings towards trade, and we're doing a comparison contrast between those. So because of that, we want to set up sort of like we would for a comparison contrast paragraph. But there are some differences as well that we're going to do. So let's start off here with the similarity that we've done before with comparison contrast, and that's in the topic sentence. So we're going to start off up here at the topic sentence, and I want you to notice we have a direct contrast that's taking place here. While Islam taught a need for a just form of trade, Christian teachings originally showed a strong skepticism towards all trade. So notice here why this becomes a good contrast statement. We have both of our elements. Here's element 1, Islam. Here's element 2, Christian teachings. So notice too that we have the attitudes here by the word teachings. Now this is a direct contrast, and it's a direct contrast because we are told what the attitudes about trade are. In the case of Islam, there's a call for a just form of trade. So here we've got a contrast about the attitude in the case of Islam. And in the case of Christianity, we have a strong skepticism. So there we go. There's our second contrast in the attitude towards trade. So notice carefully what we got here. This is very similar to what we've done before in comparison and contrast. We have a strong topic sentence that gives us a very specific and direct form of contrast in our topic sentence. Now, here's where things start to get a little bit different. We've got to make sure that we provide what's called outside details or historical situation. So what does that mean? An outside detail, put that right up here, an outside detail is a specific example, okay, that leads up to a document. Historical situation are examples about the time period in general. So in the case of outside details, it's specific. Historical situation, it's more general. So notice what happens here. Muhammad founded Islam in Saudi Arabia, trying to reform the merchants of the Quraysh tribe. Okay, that is a general statement about the time period. So here we have historical situation. Okay. Right after that, Muhammad feared the leaders of Mecca would replace true faith with one God with material desires. There's a very specific example. So here we've got an outside detail. So notice that we're framing our documents by providing specific outside details or general terms about the historical situation. Now we're going to jump into the document itself. Document 2 was from the primary authority of Islam, the Quran, and expresses a negative tone towards those who just for material profit. Now notice we're not just summarizing the document. Now I've cited the document, that's really important. And then on top of that, what I said is the attribution of this document. In this particular case, attribution or the source of the document is the primary authority of Islam, so the Quran. Okay, in this particular case. After that, to the point of the attitude or the purpose. And that's what I'm going to get here, expresses a negative tone. So here we have a clear notion of purpose or point of view towards those who would cheat others for material profit. Muhammad would eventually conquer the Meccan city and make it into the capital of Islam. Here again, we have historical situation. Okay, so now I've got to switch over, though, and talk about Christianity, because remember, we're doing a contrast here, so I've got to talk about Christianity at some point, and here's where this happens. However, Jesus' movement had a different context. Okay, so there I'm keying in the notion of historical situation under the conquering of the Roman Empire. There's our historical situation. In Jesus' case, the rich were seen as working with the Romans to oppress the poor of the Jewish community. Okay, here we have a clear outside detail, okay, that we had specific Jewish leaders working with the Romans to oppress the poor. And that's why in document 1, here's our source, the source of Christian truth, Jesus' stories, here's my attribution. Okay, what's my source that I'm doing here? Here's my attribution. Jesus' stories express a completely negative criticism. So there's our contrast. It wasn't a sort of negative criticism, it's complete negative criticism. So again, we're getting point of view or purpose of the rich is unable to access spiritual rewards. This suggests that the origins of Christianity saw no positive potential for the material desires. Here's my clear difference with Islam. So notice what we've done here in this particular case with this body paragraph. Up at the top, I use the historical thinking skill, contrast. I frame the documents with historical situations or examples. In the case of the documents, we use point of view to analyze. So I'm not just summarizing or paraphrasing. I'm using point of view, and then I finish up by framing the documents again with some analysis in historical situation. This is the way every single one of your body paragraphs needs to look in order to be specific. Okay, I hope this helped out. I hope it gave you a specific way of looking at this. Oh, almost forgot. One last thing I do want to say that was not put in here, and we just want to fix this up a little bit. At the end of these documents, one thing that I'm going to have you guys do is I'm going to have you guys actually, in parentheses, put this. And you might be wondering why I'm doing this, but just as a reminder, the reason why is when people are reading your papers, you want to make it really clear to them that you're using these documents, so they're not hunting for it. This is the way you can do that.